Hello and welcome to Man's Model Moments. As I am sure you are all aware, I attended Airfix's launch day for the Westland Sea King a couple of weeks ago. In putting together a video about that, I wanted to give you a flavour of what I experienced, rather than just recount the day, and also what I think it reveals about Airfix themselves. So with that, a little history is appropriate. Airfix started way back before World War II, the brainchild of Hungarian Miklos Klein, who anglicised his name to Nicholas Covey. Airfix came into injection moulding after 18 years to produce combs, and plastic model kits originated as a serendipitous sideline through an idea from Ferguson to have their sales reps use models of their tractors to sell them. These were produced as kits due to the difficulty Airfix had in assembling them on site, and they were sold to the public through Woolworths to lower production costs. Growth from the mid-1950s was huge, and continued beyond Covey's death in 1958. Airfix became a household name, dominating the local model market throughout the 60s and 70s, producing tens of millions of kits and branching into other games and toys, as well as purchasing other brands like Meccano and Dinky. Sadly, this expansion, increasing competition, and a rapidly strengthening pound brought about financial pressures that meant Airfix declared bankruptcy in 1981, being bought by General Mills through Palitoy, and production was moved to France. General Mills didn't stay in the game long though, and despite many people saying that Airfix was bought by Hella, this isn't actually true, as it was bought by the hobby branch of Borden Incorporated, who also owned Hella and Humbrol. As production at General Mills is already located in France, it made sense to consolidate production of Airfix and Hella at the one underutilised site at Hella in Trun. This was the death of Airfix as an independent company. It was now a brand. Borden divested its hobby products to an Irish investment company in 1994, who operated it under the Humbrol name. Unfortunately, they also got into financial issues, mainly because of the collapse of Hella, and at this point Hornby purchased the group in 2006. Now, in a rather incestuous twist, Hornby owes its origins to Meccano, and that company's founder Frank Hornby. Still, that's another story. Since Hornby's purchase, Airfix as a brand has been doing well, though the Hornby Group itself had further financial issues, leading to a buyout by Phoenix Asset Management in 2017, who installed a new management team. Now, I mention all of this because of comments like this one from the Airfix Advanced teaser announcement of Something is Coming. Now, there are a lot of people out there like this, and I'm not really sure they've thought their statement through. I mean, are they talking about Airfix when it was an independent company? Do they mean the Airfix company is operated by General Mills? Are they talking about Airfix as a brand when producing kits out of the Hella factory? Does he mean Airfix under Hornby ownership, or is he referring to the recent operation of Hornby under Phoenix? You see, companies aren't a physical entity like a person or an aircraft. They're a concept more than anything, and even more so when you're talking about a brand. A company is a concept set up by a person or a group of people, usually to make money by making something or providing some sort of service. They're a title for that enterprise, and really companies are the people within them that work with common purpose. All the buildings, machines and stuff are just the things they need to achieve that. I'll come back to this concept later, but really when someone says, "I hate Airfix," they're either expressing that hate for the past or present actions and outputs of a group of people. Even so, it's a stupid thing to say, because those people have changed many times and their outputs, the kits they make, have changed and evolved over that time too. So to be clear, I'm going to be talking in this video about the current Airfix brand and team, part of the Hornby Group, owned and operated by PAM. Airfix held their launch day for the Westland Sea King at Historic Helicopters, a charity which owns, restores to airworthy condition and flies classic helicopters. They have many interesting and iconic aircraft in their collection, including the only flying examples of their kind in the world of the Wessex and the Whirlwind, along with a host of Sea Kings, one of which is currently for sale if you have a spare £1 million. They also do some exemplary work, so please go and check out their website at historichelicopters.com, and if you get a chance to attend one of their open mornings, it's well worth a visit. They're a really nice group of people. This was of course an ideal location for the event, but of course this kind of thing is expensive to hold and a lot of planning. Anyone who has tried to organise any kind of event with more than half a dozen people will know this. The event itself, of course, was part of the Airfix Sprue Talk series and was streamed live, as well as having a simultaneous pre-recorded launch video that came out on YouTube. Looking at the event from a corporate viewpoint, as I've been involved in lots of these sorts of things from a company point of view, it was pretty flawlessly executed. Now, although the day was about the Sea King, and obviously to showcase the launch of their new 1/48 scale kit, what I found most interesting about the day was the glimpse behind the curtain it gave, and the insight into the minds and thoughts of those within the company. Now, during the day, Luke and Chris gave us an excellent set of talks about some of what goes into a kit, and I think it's worth sharing with you all, as it's a very easy thing for us sitting in our armchairs or at our modelling benches to say, why don't Airfix make a... and then insert your favourite subject there. Well, in terms of the selection process of what kits Airfix decide to do, it's an unsurprisingly complex process. So obviously they have a release schedule, which has to be considered with regards to resources at all levels. Design, production, marketing, logistics, etc. There's only so much to go around. They also need to look at gaps in the market, or to put it another way, what competition is there out there for this kit, and what opportunity is there? As part of that, any prior sales of related versions or similar kits, and the general knowledge of the subject. So this is also about market opportunity. Another part of this is, does that release grow an existing line of theirs? Releasing a 1/32 scale World War I plane wouldn't make much sense if Airfix don't have other things to complement that release, for example. Now, you'll notice that many of these things are commercial in nature. They're related to market opportunity. That's because Airfix, or the parent, Humbrol, needs to make money out of this. That's why Phoenix bought them, to be profitable. Now, I heard another YouTuber talk about Airfix and how cash-minded companies tend not to innovate and thus die away, which is both horrifically naive and patently untrue. Airfix was not cash-minded in the 1970s, and they had a business that wasn't robust enough to survive the financial seas it tried to navigate, and it went bust. Since 2017, PAM have guided Hornby with a single purpose: to become profitable. Have we seen innovation decrease since that time? No. Have we seen Airfix make the best kits it ever has? Yes. Smart companies always have a cash-minded outlook. Now, if that devolves into penny pinching or false economies, then yes, that will constrict growth. It's burning long-term outlook for shorter-term revenue, and I'd argue that is more what happened with General Mills and Borden with Airfix in the past, and is happening with other companies like Revell today. In another blow to the falsehood about cash-minded companies lacking in innovation, one of the last insights into Airfix choices is the rule breakers category. Sometimes they will go ahead with a kit even if it doesn't fit all of the prior categories, which is very refreshing, both from a corporate and a modelling point of view. Sometimes it is these oddball decisions, after all, that can turn into runaway successes, and the willingness to try them is a great strength of any company in my opinion. I don't want to dwell on it exhaustively, but the work that goes into a project, just one single kit, is enormous. This gives a kind of snapshot overview, but if we look at the research that Airfix did for the Sea King, it demonstrates how far they go. They did a full year of research, photographed and measured more than 35 aircraft, and 3D scanned a full 6, inside and out. That is a vast amount of data. From all of that, the designers, Chris in this case, have to create the CAD model in basic form, translating all those scans into virtual models. It's not just a matter of scanning something and instantly you have the CAD. When the CAD model is created, it then undergoes an extensive critique, which is of course an iterative process. Now, of course, a CAD model isn't a kit, and so from that CAD the parts need creating, and each part detailing according to the original CAD model. Now, there have been a lot of comments as to the raised versus recessed rivets on the Sea King, and it was interesting that this was a discussion within Airfix as well. And they came down on the side of recessed rivets to make life easier for modellers, not themselves. It's easier to repair areas of recessed rivets than raised, especially when scale rivets would be around 0.1mm in height. Bear in mind that this model also has to represent at least 4 iterations of the aircraft just for the original release, and then also any more for future release variants, So again, this isn't a simple or straightforward process. The sprue frame layout is then created, and Airfix also think about modelers when making these. It's not just about what works most easily for them, but where parts will be for a modeler when making the kit, which is not something that was ever a consideration for manufacturers of yesteryear. Now I will quickly mention the technical side of tool creation here for a second, because this has evolved from the past as well, as in order to create extremely fine detail on the hard stainless steel tools, a process called electrical discharge machining is used, also known as spark erosion. Suffice to say that it uses electrons to machine the tool with extremely high precision and no machining marks, and it's pretty cool and state of the art. Once the tools are made and test shots received, then they go into another round of critique and adjustment, with changes then being made to the tools. And they're pretty anal about it. I'm not sure I would have spotted a 0.2mm difference on these pieces here. Again, this is the upper control on the inside of the cockpit, which is very difficult to see in the finished model, but it needed to be perfect. What I wanted to convey in this video was a sense of what it was like to experience the launch day as a modeler, rather than all the details of the Sea King model, as reviews, builds and other videos will cover all of that more extensively than I can here. As I mentioned at the start of the video, companies don't really exist as discrete things. They're a name for the collective people and outputs those people create, and any company should really be judged on the merit of those two things. So let's judge the current Airfix by those two standards, of its people and the outputs they create. A few things came across very strongly during the day about the Airfix staff I met, and I can summarise them in 5 headlines. Firstly, they're genuine. I didn't get any corporate gloss or used car salesman vibes, and I'm pretty good at spotting those types after 30 years in business. What you see is what you get. No hidden agendas. The second is the passion. No one goes into the detail and breadth of what they are working on at Airfix without a genuine love of what they're doing. It comes through when they're talking about their work, the highs and lows, what they're hoping people do with their kits, everything. Third is the level of thought. They're approaching manufacturing kits with us as modelers in mind, what marketing would call the customer experience. Not just serving up a box of plastic bits, but everything from how the box looks, they specifically want boxes that are full and not bits rattling around, to not having to switch between half a dozen frames when building an assembly. Fourth is the openness displayed. Airfix didn't have to do a release day, they don't have to engage the creator community, they don't have to use social media. A lot of other model companies don't. When you're talking to them, they talk freely. Of course, they're not going to tell you what's being released next year, but there's also no awkward pauses or uncomfortable silences whilst they try to navigate an awkward question. They acknowledge they're still learning, they want to hear our feedback, and they know not everything is perfect, which is refreshing in any company. Fifth and finally is the level of care. Not just in the iterative critique they display when doing their research and development of the kits they make, but also in terms of our experience on the day and the experience of their customers, the modelling community, in actually making their products. Now I expect some of you are going to think, wow, they must have paid these guys a lot for this kind of praise, or wow, this guy is a real Airfix fanboy. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you conspiracy theorists, but I received no payment other than being at the day, and until last year, Airfix was barely in the top 10 of kit manufacturers I looked to buy. So no, I'm not a paid shill, nor a fanboy. I'm just reporting my experience. I think any modeler in the same position as I was that day would come away with the same feelings about the company. I have an additional view as well based on my 30 years of commercial life, and that is just from a corporate perspective. There is a concept called the healthy organisation from a business writer called Patrick Lencioni. This essentially says that in a market where products are roughly comparable and of good quality, the organisations that have happy, engaged employees tend to outperform those that just treat it as a 9-to-5 job. Happy employees pass this on in passion for their work, engagement with the customer, and better customer experiences because they care. Airfix displays all the signs of a healthy organisation. Hornby is also doing well under Phoenix and has been turning a profit. This is excellent news, both for them and for us. I think Airfix have leapt to the forefront of scale modelling manufacturers, and the releases we're seeing from them are consistently best in class. That's not to say they don't have issues, but they acknowledge this themselves, the first step for anyone to change, and are continuously looking at improving. So, after 84 years as an entity, Airfix may now only be a brand, but in more ways than one, it is certainly becoming not only a model company in terms of its products, but a model company in terms of its people and behaviours, setting the standard to which other manufacturers should be held. Anyway, what do you think about Airfix? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Speaking of Airfix, if you want to win the collector's coin commemorating Flight Lieutenant Alan Pollock's protest by flying Hawker Hunter XF442 through the span of Tower Bridge on April 4th, 1968, then you can enter my free draw for that. Details are in my video unboxing of the kit bookmarked above. Alternatively, you can join my YouTube channel as a member, or sign up to my Patreon to be automatically entered into this and other draws with multiple tickets and so a higher chance to win, plus have access to my personal Discord channel and other perks. As I'm mentioning that, let me give my heartfelt thanks to all of those wonderful channel members and Patreon subscribers for helping me to make these videos. That's all for this instalment of Man's Model Moments. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel for more like it, and share this video with others you think would also enjoy it. You can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and if you're feeling generous then I also have a Patreon, which is absolutely the best way of helping me to grow the channel and produce more content like this. With that, I hope you have plenty of modelling moments of your own, and I look forward to welcoming you on the next video.